London, 2025, in a £42 million penthouse where the capital's skyline is cut through with bulletproof glass, Jamie Dornan, the man who once melted hearts as Christian Grey, is now a different entity altogether. A real-life billionaire, running the biotech empire Grey Nova, and living a life once thought only existed in movies. From movie star to underground legend of finance, Jamie Dornan is no longer an actor. He quietly retired from Hollywood in 2022 after a string of underwhelming roles. Instead of throwing lavish parties or hitting talk shows, Dornan has quietly built a venture capital fund focused on regenerating human intelligence, a field that sounds like science fiction. 3 years later, Grey Nova became a pioneer in reprogramming emotional responses, controlling hormones and desire. And that's when the media started buzzing with strange rumors. The Grey Cellar Secret Society. Investigative articles by The Guardian and Der Spiegel simultaneously mentioned a secret society codenamed Grey Cellar, including high-ranking figures, often CEOs, politicians, writers. All had something in common: they had participated in emotional therapy at a secret center run by Dornan in Switzerland. An anonymous former member wrote in a memoir, which has since been banned from publication. Jamie didn't sell technology, he sold freedom, freedom from guilt, freedom from moral constraints. But the price for that was your soul. Violence, sex, and absolute control. It is rumored that in the basement of his London penthouse, Jamie maintains a reality script, where he plays the role of dominant not only sexually but also mentally. Each of his lovers, all powerful women, are forced to sign contracts, undergo regular psychological testing, and wear wristbands that monitor their adrenaline levels. When asked about this in an interview with the Financial Times, Dornan simply laughed. "I believe in consent, but consent only really matters when you know yourself, and if you don't, I'll help you." A simple statement, but it sent shivers down the spine. Genius or manipulator? Many have likened Dornan to a hybrid of Elon Musk, Christian Grey, and Machiavelli. He makes no secret of his coldness, and makes no apologies for the power he wields. Asked at TEDx Geneva if he thought he was playing with human morality, Dornan replied, "I'm not playing with it. I'm rewriting it." The White-Faced Woman. London, 2 a.m. On the top floor of the Shard, the pale yellow light seemed to melt into the night mist. Jamie Dornan stood alone, his white shirt sleeves rolled up, a glass of blood-red wine in his hand. From a distance, he looked like a lone writer. But in reality, he was the director of this reality. Behind the biometrically encrypted iron door, the vault room lay silent. There was no gold, no money, only memories. Nearly 40 terabytes of emotional data, collected from hundreds of clients who had undergone Grey Nova's cognitive reprogramming. The terrors, the moments of extreme pleasure, the breakdowns, the peaks of trust, all encoded into files. He didn't read them. He felt them, through a private device that only he could access. The Gamebreaker. That day, a profile arrived in her encrypted private inbox. Isolde Vernet, 29 years old, military psychologist, former lecturer at the École Normale, Paris. No one knew who she was. She had never applied to join Grey Nova. But the profile arrived with a simple code. "I want to meet Jamie. Not to join, but to ask him a question that no one has dared to ask." Jamie looked at the text as if she were seeing her own past. The first meeting. 2 days later, at a private omakase-style Japanese restaurant, there were only 3 people present: Jamie, Isolde, and the chef. She appeared in a white suit, her hair tied back, her face without makeup, but her eyes were as sharp as needles in the rainy night. There was no extra movement, no fear, no indulgence. Jamie smiled, leaning forward. "What do you want to ask me?" Isolde looked straight at him. "Do you have real emotions, Jamie? Or are you just a very good imitator of other people's emotions?" The air froze. Jamie didn't answer. He just raised his sake glass, touched his lips to it. Then he said slowly, "That's a good question, but you know, people without emotions are often the best at manipulating other people's emotions." The game begins. After that evening, Isolde disappeared. 3 weeks later, some internal devices in the Grey Nova system began to fail. Hormone sensors reacted negatively. A client lost control of her emotions. A CEO committed suicide after a session. Jamie knew she was playing. And for the first time in years, Jamie Dornan was not in control. "I can turn off your technology, Jamie. But would you dare let someone else touch the real you?" The message was sent from an encrypted number. The smell of perfume in the mind chain. 3 in the morning. Jamie's room, as usual, was sleepless. In the silence of the night, the lines of code on the hologram screen ran non-stop. Greynova's AI was analyzing the neural patterns of an individual, Isolde Vernit. What was unusual? She had no clear, fear pattern. Her emotional curve was almost flat, only a slight wavering when she laughed. Or when she mentioned childhood memories. But it was impossible to determine whether it was trauma or psychological abuse. Jamie sipped her cold espresso, her eyes unblinking. For the first time, he felt like she wasn't a victim, but maybe a fellow human. Reunion in the White Room. Jamie invited her to Grey Nova, the 29th floor, where no one could enter without signing a temporary human rights waiver. Yes, legally a gray area. The White Room, no windows, just a black stone table and 2 leather chairs. Jamie walked in, holding a small wooden box. Isolde had been sitting there for a while, still in white, still with a gaze that seemed to read every action in the first 3 seconds. "I have a game," Jamie said. "I don't play," Isolde replied. "So you're afraid of losing?" "No, I'm afraid of winning." The silence stretched on like an invisible chain strangling every word. Jamie placed the box on the table. Inside was a biological device, the emotion echo. It recorded and simulated the wearer's truest emotions. No lying, no hiding. "Put it on." "I'll put it on first." Jamie placed the device on her temple. The green light flashed instantly. Isolde hesitated, then placed the device on her head. The lights synchronized. On the wall screen, 2 emotion graphs gradually appeared. And then, as if by fate, they synchronized almost perfectly. Heartbeat, breathing, anxiety, conflict, and, the most dangerous thing, desire. They looked at each other. No more joking, no more control. Jamie didn't need to speak. Isolde didn't need to ask. The truth was cut like a slit. They were both experts at manipulating the minds of others, but with each other, they were completely lost. Jamie walked slowly toward her. "You know who I am." Isolde stood up. "And you don't know who you are yet." She moved closer to him, very close. Their breaths intertwined. No more domination, no more submission. Just 2 minds whirling in a dangerous dance of sex and psychological warfare. Conclusion. Jamie Dornan, the sadistic billionaire, may be fictional, but he reflects a very real fear of our time. That those who wield the power of technology and human emotions could become the creators of a new era. One where morality is an option, not the norm. And the question is, are we moving toward the future, or are we returning to the feudal age of emotions?